Warning, this video may contain graphic content such as sexual scenes, violence, gore, boobies, and the rest of the fun stuff. Unfortunately, YouTube won't allow that, so we'll try what we can. Please be over 18 to view this video, and don't say we didn't warn you.
Endlessly searching for an original
So hey guys, welcome back to Sinfully Fun Games, where we look at games that are in production, completed of the more mature variety. So we're looking back at Taffy Tail. The creator of this actually asked me to go ahead and look at the updates for this game. So let's see if it's worth going back to. This is I believe one of the first Sinfully Fun games I did a couple of years ago. So it'll be interesting to see. Let's just do Anon. We always do Anon. My day at school started as normal as any other one I had before. It was only after my French class that things started to get really out of hand for me. I was sitting in my second class period after lunch, which was French, a subject that thoroughly confused me because of all the letters and certain words that didn't even end up getting pronounced half the time. I was simply doodling on my notepad as usual. This meant that I wasn't paying as much attention as I should have, which was a no-go in this particular class. I nearly jumped out of my seat when I heard a familiar husky voice from behind me begin to speak. "You would do well to pay more attention in my class, Monsieur Anon." I could feel my cheeks go flush as the class around me erupted into snickering and stifled laughter. I could certainly feel the hot breath of Miss Arnett, my French teacher, right on the back of my neck, as she scolded me. "Dawdling again? Well, maybe if you put as much effort into your scribbles as you did my assignments, your grades in this class wouldn't be where it currently sits." My face increasingly glowed redder and hotter as she made me the center of attention. Not merely because of the rapid growing laughter from the rest of the class, but also because my gorgeous French teacher was now close enough that I could actually smell her expensive perfume on her body, an intoxicating scent that would frazzle any young boy's hormones. I didn't dare look at her as I mumbled a soft-spoken apology. For one thing, I was shy enough, as it was without public humiliation like this, and two, well, if I turned myself towards Miss Arnett to face her right then and there, let's just say I would be giving the class an even bigger reason to laugh at me. "I won't do it again, Miss Arnett. I don't want to do bad in your class, honest." I shifted uncomfortably in my chair, hoping she would just move on before things got even worse. Luckily for me, she let it go, with only the midst of a The last 15 minutes of class went by just fine, all things considered, though I couldn't help but feel people were still snickering and whispering around me. Probably laughing at the dorky kid in blue as usual. What else was new? I was glad when the bell rang so I could escape into the hallway. Blending into the crowd was the best I could hope for at my school. Standing out from the crowd was something I tried to avoid as often as possible. I ducked into the toilets as soon as I had the chance, hoping to have some peace and quiet for a moment. It was also because my next period was gym class. If I waited long enough, the locker room would be empty, and I could change into my gym uniform without anyone else being there. I simply preferred to have some privacy when slipping off my shorts. I knew I'd get chewed out by my gym coach for being late to class again, but it sure beat the alternative, having to get undressed in front of other people. I figured I had spent enough time hiding away, so I walked back to the now empty hallway and made my way towards the locker room. I happened to notice a girl with blonde hair just standing outside the girls' locker room, though I didn't give it much thought at the moment. It wasn't like she was blocking the door to the men's room or anything. Why should I mind? After going inside the locker room, I heard what I thought was a voice screaming out. It sounded like it had come from the other side of the wall, inside the girls' locker room. Against my better judgment, for whatever reason, I went back outside to see if I could find out what the yelling was about. Yeah, I like I like some of the images here. So, it doesn't seem like I think much has changed. I don't really remember much of this game. So this, like I said, will be the first game we look at for this Sinfully Fun Games. As soon as I approached the locker room door, the girl standing there shifted herself to block my path, nervously looking down at the ground as she did so. She was clearly too shy to meet my eyes. I guess I could relate. What's going on in there? I heard somebody yelling. Her reply took a moment or two to come out. To my surprise, despite what I had assumed were very feminine features on her body, the girl's voice revealed that she was in fact a he. The trap. He was blushing as he merely replied, please go away. They'll hurt me again if you go in there. The more I looked at him, the more it dawned on me who this was. Danny. Hey, aren't you the kid next door to me?
Anon, I haven't seen you in ages.
What's going on in there?
Just please don't go in there.
Every part of me was screaming to just walk away from this, but there was laughing and desperate cries coming from inside the room. I found myself totally entranced and ended up pushing the girly boy aside and opening the door to the locker room. I stepped inside the locker room, not certain I knew what I was doing there in the first place. What I saw was a girl surrounded by a bunch of other boys from school. To my absolute shock, the girl in question was actually Becca, one of the few girls in my entire class who was nice to me. She was actually Miss Arnett's daughter too, so this was a completely crazy sight. I became flushed in the face as I immediately saw her bare chest was completely exposed, showing a rather large breast hanging out of her shirt. Her bra was being held aloft by Darnell, the school's biggest bully, who has always seemingly had troubles with ever since the first day of freshman year. Every day he would ask me for lunch money or make me get his lunch and drinks for him. I tried to avoid him as often as I possibly could. It looked as though I walked right into the middle of something I should not. I backed out of the room as well when I saw Darnell and his friends advancing on me. Come on, Pee-wee, where you going? Things were just getting started. I ran down the hallway as fast as I could, though I knew he wouldn't be far behind. He was much faster than I was. I made it out the front doors and ran for the street, hearing Darnell and his goons closing in on me. I looked back to see how close they were right as I was crossing the street. Probably not the best timing to do so, because if I hadn't checked behind me, I might have seen the car that was currently speeding down the road. Screech. Ah, shit! The next few minutes were a blur, a painful black blur. When I opened my eyes, I was laying on the asphalt and apparently some anime girls were watching me, with a pounding headache and a group of people all gathered around me. It seemed they only wanted to know if I was dead or not. Something cool to look at and take photos of, I suppose.
Shit, this nerd just got body checked by a damn car. Did you see him backflip into the air?
He did a flip. I could see them recording me with their phones. Good to know this might end up on a near-death caught-on-camera compilation video somewhere for everyone to see. Behind the crowd was a tall woman with brown curly hair and clothes that must have cost a pretty penny.
Oh, he's alive. Oh, good. Then I certainly don't need to stick around any longer.
Just like that, she got back in her car swiftly, only stopping briefly to address me.
You really shouldn't run in front of nice cars like mine, you know. Oh, well, I'll send the bill for the dent you put in my car later.
It's one of these games. As she drove off, I returned my attention to the crowd gathered around me, who were still filming and laughing at my accident.
Oh my God, look, Anon pissed his pants.
I looked down in horror to see that they were unfortunately correct. Getting hit by her car must have literally knocked the piss out of me. I got up as quickly as my painful bones and muscles would let me and started to run home. Yeah, if it's not painfully obvious, these type of games are just not ones I really enjoy doing. This is similar to Summertime Saga, another game I've kind of made it known. I get very bored with the let's constantly shit on Anon style games. Mostly because they're very, 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 very cliche to me. Now, I do know there is a fan base for this kind of thing. And to those people, more power to you. And to the developers, if you guys are successful and you actually do make a game with good artwork, with a good following and stuff, all of my love. I am not shitting on you. I'm just saying not my type of game. My house was, by the way, I love the dog. My house was located a little ways away, so I was out of breath when I got there. At the end of my walkway, I was greeted by my best friend in the whole world, my greatest of Daynes, Max. Aw. I scratched behind his ear and he gave me a few playful licks on my sore face. Why this guy didn't just call the cops, I'll never know. At least you're always happy to see me, aren't you, Max? Not sure what I would do without you, buddy. I don't know if it was the running or the accident, but I suddenly felt very faint, so I stood up again and walked towards the front door. Careful not to make too much noise, I opened it and went inside.
Why you didn't just go to the hospital? I'll never know.
I hear noises coming from the kitchen. It's probably just Mom, but I should go check it out first. Kitchen, there we go. I hear noises coming from the kitchen. It's probably just wait. Who lives in my house again? I feel really woozy and my head is all cloudy. Her name is Marianne? Oh yeah, how could I forget Mary? I better go check on her. I looked inside the kitchen to see if Mary was home. There I could see her standing at the sink peeling potatoes. Her back was facing me, and I was quiet enough that she hadn't heard me arrive. She had probably just started to cook a meal as she was wearing a kitchen apron, obviously in a hurry to get dinner ready before me and... Wait, I swear there was someone else who should be here soon. Oh yeah, how could I forget about Tiffany? Of course. Boy, that hit from a car did a real number on me, didn't it? Never mind that. God damn, that's a fine-looking ass on Mary. Wouldn't mind pumping my shaft in there for a bit. But I was suddenly so mortified with myself as the perverse thought left my head. Where had that even come from? How had I let it slip itself into my train of thought so casually? Why had I thought of something so wrong about Mary? Regardless, I could still feel my head pounding and worried that it might have been a concussion to some degree. Suddenly the whole world was spinning, and I found it increasingly difficult to even stand. Shit. It was stupid of me not to go to the hospital. Yes, it was! When Mary turned to notice me, she panicked, nearly dropping the plate she was holding.
Anon, what the hell happened?
Mary, I was hit by a car. Hell. I collapsed, and the last thing I remember is dropping to the floor, dragging some of the cutlery off the table down with me. Hello? There we go. Well. Huh? Is this a dream? Where am I? I imagine right now you're in a hospital bed recovering. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? Am I gonna die? Nah. Oh, thank God. So, wait, who are you? Someone who's going to change your life, kid? I'm sorry, what? That crash sent a few nuts and bolts loose in your head. If you were to be literal, I'm your repressed subconscious. How the hell am I talking to my subconscious? Isn't the whole point that I'm not supposed to hear you? Yeah, well, why indeed. Regardless, I've got more control now. What? Well, I didn't just intend to sit here like some schizophrenic voice rambling on. You're gonna take control of my body? Well, I am you, just a side of you that you've locked up. Okay. So what do you mean by change my life? I've been watching for a while now, just as helpless as you. Let's review your life, shall we? Let's not. No, no. I insist. All the women in your life are hot, but either oblivious to your attention or display such a utter levels of cuntery, I almost said cutlery, that you could practically strangle them. Whoa, that's dark. See, I kind of like this part of it, though. Well, I think they need to learn a lesson, don't you? They should be grateful you even talk to them. But, and that done now? And brigade of dumbasses who hang around him? Don't you think he needs to learn his place as well? You're starting to sound more and more like a psychopath. So what, sociopath? I'm here because I don't do something. If we don't do something, our lives are gonna become fucked beyond repair. This is one weird dream. I just thought I'd introduce myself properly, just so you aren't too shocked when things start happening. Now wake up. It took me a day or two to recover in the hospital. When I was finally discharged and brought home, Mary continued to fawn over me the whole time. Alright guys, I went up to my room in the attic. Now see, this part I kind of like. I like the whole split personality idea. So this might have to be one we explore more. I went up to my room in the attic. A small, stuffy box that was uncomfortable on the best of days. Today had not been one of those days. I undressed and went to stand in front of the old, cracked mirror in my room. Embarrassed as usual with the Mondo dong dangling between my legs. Yep, it was so big that it seemed completely out of place for the rest of my body. Like a big joke was being played on me by some cruel sex god. It always made me feel like some sort of circus freak. This is why I didn't like the idea of getting changed in front of other guys. To be ostracized as the monster cock kid was something I'd hoped to avoid in my time in high school. Though doctors assured me that the concussion had no lasting damage, but regardless, I checked myself thoroughly. Aside from small cuts and bruises, I couldn't see any serious injuries, noticeable anyway. Not that I myself was exactly a doctor or anything, but I've been discharged, so I guess I'm okay. I moved my head closer to the mirror to check my scalp for any bleeding when I noticed a peculiar smile creep onto my face. A smile unlike any I had made before. It was then that I spoke something without thinking. A man with a cock like this, I'm gonna be able to deep dick many bitches in this town. I felt horrified as soon as the words came out of my mouth, not knowing how or why I was saying them in the first place. I tried to snap out of it, but my face was still showing the same cocky grin. It's showtime, got it. I got a lot of work ahead of me. After I had said that, I saw the grin disappear from my face as quickly as it had appeared, replaced by a look of stunned confusion. Well, guys, I'd like to see more of this, and I'm sure so would you guys, but we have hit the 20-minute mark, and we've got to move on to the next game. So I will see you guys in just a moment for our next Sinfully fun game. So our next game for this episode is Hashihime of the Old Town Book. Let's go ahead and look it through, shall we? I believe this game is also out on Steam and a couple of different platforms. According to the man, the phantom lived in the basement. Night after night, he would kidnap someone, tie them to a cold chair, and tell them his questionable life story until the break of dawn. He spoke without passion or emotion. He spoke about himself as if speaking of someone else. If I had to complain about one thing, it would be how cold the chair was. My second complaint would be that the man's story was boring. And my third was that the man seemed to want my final opinion on it. Why would you want something like that? Because I'm the Phantom. until a moment ago, I should have been looking out at the Shidome River from Shin Bridge. As soon as I realized I had been kidnapped, I started to understand why the chair was so cold. So you get it now? He asked. But before I offered my opinion, I had one question. When will the morning come? Once I'm Dawn. Once I'm Dawn. If the Phantom said it was right, if the Phantom said it was night, it would become night. If he said it was morning, it would become morning. But once he did, it was no longer Japan. Nor was it another world. It was so-called world of illusions, with its own concept of time that the Phantom controlled. This story begins with me, a man harboring obscure anxieties about the transient world, being detained by a curious and grotesque monster. It's a miserable and beautiful story about me finally clinging to life when faced with a genuine god of death. At least, it should have been. When he finished turning the last page, he tapped the now bare table with his middle finger. He seemed to be demanding something, or searching for something. It cut into the gramophone's brisk melody. I can't talk today. At any rate, I could tell the behavior was out of disgust. What is this? Without thinking, I blurted out the same thing. I had expected his voice to be more full of praise and admiration. His reaction was somehow different from what I had imagined. Maybe I'd given him the wrong manuscript? Thinking that it couldn't be possible, I took a peek. No matter how many times I look it over, though, it was the story that I'd written, The Phantom in the Basement.
続きは明日だ。明日って。ああ、そう。君は不完全なものを見せたってわけか。不完全とはひどい言い草だ。これは連載もののつもりであってだな。
Kawasa blew out the tobacco smoke he was holding in. An indescribable smile was waiting for me beyond the haze I parted.
嫌なら返せ。いや、言いたいことはまだあるんだ。
Kawasa pulled the manuscript toward himself and looked it over again. He traced over the last lines with his pinky finger over and over again in disgust. When will the morning come? Once I'm Dawn.
ダジャレもよくわからないし。ダジャレではない。言葉遊びだ。言葉遊びね。おっと失礼。
His cigarette sprung up like a shishi odoshi and scattered ash all over the page. As if it weren't enough, he snubbed the flame out on my manuscript. The flame burnt through several pages before the smoldering sound stopped. He tilted his head in confusion when I immediately gathered up the manuscript pages.
当たり前だろう。今回のは第1弾ってあってだな。第2弾、第3弾と連なって初めて完成するのだ。なのに。
An impressive hole pierced right through the middle of the manuscript. When I glared at him through the small peephole, Kawasa pulled out his wallet in annoyance. That's not the problem. It's not the problem, Kawasai. He was like an old man flashing a mouthful of gold teeth. Even if you rebuild the crumbling enamel with gold and silver, they're still not the teeth you had to begin with. And yet, I wasn't such an orc that I wouldn't take his feelings into consideration and try to settle things out of court, so to speak.
ちり紙にしては高くついたな。ちり紙だと？貴 魔というやつはもういい。
What a thoroughly evil man. He was a devil, and he most likely had no idea what sort of feelings I had put into this manuscript. He couldn't imagine just how much planning, and more planning I put into each page with my hands, my eyes, and my heart. I faked a cough and let out a sigh.
貧相な感性だ。
It wasn't as if I had no talent. There was no way I had no skill whatsoever. It was all Kawa's fault. He was unfeeling, unemotional
今
devil.
なんて言った？
貧相な感性だと言ったのだ。
聞き捨てならないね。審美眼があると言ってほしいな。
審美眼か。所詮宝石が自ら輝くまでその価値に気づけないくせに。
自分が何かの原石だって言いたいの？言い訳だけはしゃれてるね。
言い訳などではない。それによーく分かった。お前がどれだけつまらない人間かということがな。
This was the fourth time I had asked Kawasai for a critique. The first time, when I was nervous, he crumpled it up. The second time, when I was hopeful, he sent it flowing away on a river. And the third time, when I was fully prepared, he turned it into a paper airplane and sent it flying away into the
で
sky.
もつまらない。何を聞いても退屈だ。もう難があるのは貴様の方としか思えない。
本当に失礼なやつだな君は。俺だって心に響けば手を叩くし、感動できれば君を撫でてあげるよ。
それはそれで気持ち悪いな。
ああ、早く君をワシャワシャしてあげたいな。
What exactly are you trying to say with that deadpan voice? Things like that could make me flare up at him again and again. But unable to find the right words for a comeback, I swallowed my feelings. I was the one who had asked the guy like this for critiques. I was the one who had brought it up. So there was absolutely no way I could back down. Is this a yaoi?
出直す。
Did someone request a yaoi? Because I'm okay with
楽
that.
しみだね。次はもう少し多めに持ってこよう。
Kawasa said,
また
tapping
持
his
つこ
wallet.
とになるだろうからね。
What an utterly vile man. Kawasa lit his last match as he held his cigarette in his smirking mouth. But perhaps my curse had worked, because it wouldn't light. In the end, the head of the match broke off and rolled away
しけ
tragically.
ってる。
Hmm?
梅雨ってのは生きにくい季節だよ。
Kawasa commented on the weather as he tossed the matchbox away. The thin glass distorted the sky, making me worry even more about getting back. It felt as though the sound of the rain tapping against the window was telling me to hurry on home.
私はこれで失礼する。
食うだけ食って帰るなんて想像しいやつだな。
Which one of us was being obnoxious now? I gathered up my remaining pages Kawasai had read and discarded, then glared at him. Kawasai brought his coffee to his now lonely lips, the corners of his eyes crinkling as he smiled crudely. One day, one of my stories will hit you so hard you'll look positively drunk. When I thought that, I cracked a
じ
smile
ゃあ
as
これ
well.
だね。
お前こそ。
時間は明日の昼。君の家だ。
ああ、来たれ来たれ。
俺から逃げ出そうなんて思うなよ。
当たり前だ。お前も意地を張らず、そろそろ素直になって。
Soon? Our minor argument was suddenly drowned out by a deep rumbling, along with an eerie sound that seemed to be spreading right at us. The ground shook violently. I was immediately thrown to the floor. Waitresses scrambled. Plates broke. The window panes cracked. Kawasai spat out his coffee. The moment I was flung from my seat, my manuscript scattered all over the place again. What had just happened? The roar grew distant, and the shaking gradually subsided. One page from my manuscript gently covered the top of my head. When I removed it and looked up at the ceiling, the chandelier, which was spinning around and around, made me dizzy. The guests and waitresses fell silent. They all had the same look on their faces. Only the gramophone sang its jazz, like it was completely unaware.
大きい車が通ったのか。
バカか君。地震に決まってるだろ、地震。
地震。こんなに大きいのは初めてだな。
そう。去年くらいから結構頻発してると思うけど。くそ。
Kawasa looked down at his chest and grieved for his uniform, which was damp with coffee. It wasn't all that bad. He could just wipe it off and let it dry on its own. But Kawasa clicked his tongue dramatically.
今日は最低最悪の日だ。
You
たかが
dramatic
服が濡
boy.
れたぐらいでなんだ。
君の安い服とはわけが違うんだよ。
巷じゃ服を汚すのが流行っているのだぞ。人の価値は服にあらず、本質にありとな。
外見より中身を。ね。だったら裸になって自分の高潔性を示しなよ。
それが一番手っ取り早いが、法に触れるのは怖い。
だろうね。結局君は慣習にとらわれない自分を見てほしいだけなんでしょ。いやしいね。
ガトリング砲のような嫌味だな。
Feeling as though I should back off from Kawasa in his pissy mood, I once again began to gather up my manuscript. Everyone in the earthquake-shaken cafe had calmed down and began to move. Everyone that was...
全然取れない。くそ。
Except for
汚れているよう
Kawasai.
には見えないが。
君のメガネがすでに汚れてるからだよ。
Just in case, I cleaned my glasses and took another look, but I really couldn't understand what he was upset about. Could black clothes be stained even blacker than they were to begin with? I guess his fussiness really was some kind of disorder. Even I wasn't stupid enough to fan the flames by trying to understand his pain. As I started to quickly try to wrap things up here, a waitress made her way toward us.
大臣さん、
何？
お体お拭きいたします。
Whoa, she bowed, then fell to her knees and began to eagerly wipe Kawasei's uniform. Her pink handkerchief turned a faint coffee brown. If I could guess why she was doing this, then the actual person she was doing it to must have realized the waitress's feelings for him already. I wonder what Kawasei would do. Well, it was pointless either way.
あのだな。
やめてくれ、汚いから。
そうだ。大事な手ぬぐいが汚れてしまう。だからあんまりその男には。
いいんです。汚れてもいいんです。この手ぬぐいはおばあちゃんが刺繍してくれた大切な手ぬぐいです。
Oh, there was a red flower blooming on it.
帝大の、いえ、あなた様のお召し物にシミがついては。
君が汚いって言ってるんだよ。知らないババアが触れた手ぬぐいなんてなおさら嫌だね。
おばあちゃんの話は嘘です。
How cunning. It was like she knew she could attach some kind of sentimental value to a simple handkerchief just by starting off with, "It's my grandmother's." However, that only infuriated Kawasai even more. Drip, drip. Kawasai poured his remaining coffee over the waitress's head. She trembled and let out a delayed
上級は
yelp.
上級らしく奉仕したら。
ご奉仕
見てわかんないの？コーヒーがこぼれたんだ。この店の耐震が甘いせいだよ。おかわりくらい黙って提供してほしいね。
The waitress was dumbfounded by his stone-cold eyes. She probably never thought that a person she admired would ever treat her this way. Normally, I would have kept quiet and ignored them, but today, I found my eyes wandering nervously. Kawasai said, grabbing the waitress's hair and turning her ear toward him.
川瀬。
前々からこの髪も気に入らなかったんだ。バッサリ言った方が可愛いんじゃないの？
Naturally, everyone in the cafe has focused their gaze on us. The other waitress was paralyzed with fear in the back, and even the timid chef made a rare appearance. What a mess. I like this cafe's food. Now it would be awkward to come here.
わかりました。今すぐコーヒーをお持ちします。
Oh God, she likes it rough. The waitress should have been in shock, but her eyes were sparkling. When Kawasai let go of her hair, she went off to grab another coffee and quit with quite the spring in her step. When she regrouped with the other waitresses, they went back to their lively character. She pressed the handkerchief of Kawasai's had touched to her nose and ended up sharing its smell with the other servers.
どんくさい女。ああ、これが一番着慣れてたんだけどね。
なぜだ。
何が？汚い髪触っちゃった。
なぜなのだ。
だから何が？
なぜお前中心に世界が回るのだ。
君はあんなのに好かれて嬉しいの？
嬉しいとか嬉しくないとかそういう問題ではなくてだな。ああ、もういい。
He shouldn't be able to get away with his oblivious tyranny. If he had been a politician, he would have been the target of scrutiny. If he had been a soldier, he would have been called a rebel. But Kawasa was forgiven. That must have been the luck he was born with. But what annoyed me even more was that he himself didn't seem to derive any joy from his own selfishness. Noticing my unamused gaze, the malicious smile returned to Kawasai's face.
ところで早く帰らないとまずいんじゃない？雨強くなってるよ。
言われなくとも帰る。
I remembered my manuscript, gathered it up, and tapped it against the table to straighten it out. Kawasai's terrible mood was improving. Perhaps he was finally giving up on his uniform. Anyway, Sorry.
ん？まあ、もう慣れた。
さすが。君も君ってやつだから。
So with that, guys, we are hitting the time limit for this game. So I hope you guys do like the new longer format of Sinfully Fun games, and I'll see you guys next time. And if you want to request a game for me to review, go ahead. It doesn't have to be a mature game. You know I like playing anything. And right now, of course, on Patreon, you can go ahead and request games as part of our art. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.